Asterisk, they vanished without a trace NO debris. No signals, no screams, just silence. Across the outer rim, ships began disappearing, one by one, system by system. The galaxy whispered of shadows that of hunters no one could see or stop. The Federation sent fleets. They vanished too. Then, in desperation, they turned to a species they barely understood, that a world ignored by empires, that a people born on a death world. Humans. The Federation expected confusion. What they got was purpose. Humans didn't ask where the ships went. They asked what was hunting them. And then they went after it. Because on Earth, we don't fear predators, that we study them, that we become them. And when the galaxy cried out for help, humanity didn't just answer the call. We became the thing the darkness feared. Asterisk, the disappearing ships. The emergency session of the Galactic Federation Council had been called for the third time in 2 months, and Ambassador Kelvin Thrace could see the fear in every delegate's eyes. The massive chamber, built to inspire confidence and unity among the 47-member species, now felt like a tomb filled with the whispers of the desperate. Kelvin's elongated Zentari frame towered over most other species as he approached the central podium. His silver skin reflected the chamber's ambient lighting, but today, even that natural luminescence seemed dimmed by worry. Behind him, holographic displays showed star charts marked with red zones that grew larger with each passing day. Fellow delegates, Kelvin began, his melodic voice carrying the weight of impending doom. We face a crisis unlike any in our recorded history. In the past 6 months, we have lost contact with 137 vessels across 14 star systems. A ripple of concerned murmurs swept through the chamber. The Mara then delegate, a crystalline being whose body chimed softly with each movement, spoke first. Ambassador Thrace, surely some of these disappearances can be explained by natural phenomena. Space is vast and dangerous. Kelvin's 4 eyes focused on the Mara then representative with grim intensity. Director Veltar, I wish that were true. But these disappearances follow a pattern that defies natural explanation. Every ship that vanished was traveling along established trade routes. Every disappearance occurred without a single distress signal. No wreckage has been found. No debris fields. No survivors. The silence that followed was broken by Commander Zixera of the Vorlian Navy, her insectoid features clicking with agitation. What about the investigation fleets? The combined fleet sent 3 squadrons to investigate the Kepler Nebula incident. Gone. Kelvin replied simply. All 3 squadrons, 30 ships, and over 8,000 personnel. They entered the search zone and simply ceased to exist. The implications hit the chamber like a physical blow. If the Federation's most advanced military vessels could disappear without trace, what hope did civilian ships have? Trade was already slowing as merchants refused to travel certain routes. Entire sectors were becoming isolated. Dr. Ylan Moss, the chief science advisor, activated his personal holodisplay. The elderly Aquarian's tentacles moved with practiced precision as he manipulated the data. We have detected one anomaly, he announced, his voice carrying through the chamber's translation systems. In each disappearance zone, our deep space sensors have recorded a unique energy signature. It appears for exactly 37 seconds, then vanishes. 37 seconds, repeated Delegate Torwan of the Krellian Republic. Her scaled features showed the confusion they all felt. What could accomplish such precise timing? Something intelligent, Kelvin answered. Something that has been watching us, studying us, and hunting us with methodical precision. The word hunting sent a chill through the assembled delegates. Most Federation species had evolved past the need for primitive survival instincts. They were builders, thinkers, and creators. The concept of being prey was foreign and terrifying. We must send more investigation fleets, declared General Karthek of the Draconian Military Council. His species were among the few warrior races in the Federation, but even his usual confidence seemed shaken. We cannot allow this threat to grow unchallenged. With what ships? Kelvin asked pointedly. We've already lost 40% of our deep space fleet. Every major naval power in the Federation has suffered losses. The Vorlian Third Fleet, the Zentari Exploration Corps, even the legendary Aquarian Deep Strike Force. All gone without a trace. The chamber erupted in worried conversations as delegates conferred with their advisors. The Federation had faced external threats before, but never something so systematic and mysterious. They were dealing with an enemy that struck without warning and left no evidence of their presence. Suddenly, the chamber's communication systems activated. Lieutenant Xavek, a young Vorlian officer, appeared on the main display. Her usually composed features showed obvious stress. Ambassador Thrace, we're receiving an incoming transmission from outside Federation space. The signal is unusual. Put it through, Kelvin commanded. The holographic display shifted to show a being unlike any in the Federation database. The creature appeared humanoid, but was smaller than most species, with pale skin and only 2 eyes positioned at the front of its head. When it spoke, its voice was clear and direct. Greetings, Galactic Federation. I am Captain Elena Rodriguez of the United Earth Space Command. We've been monitoring your communications regarding the disappearances in the Outer Rim territories. We believe we can help. The chamber fell silent. First contact with an unknown species was always significant, but the timing seemed impossible. General Karthek was the first to respond. Unknown vessel. How did you breach our security perimeter? Our sensors show no ships in this system. Captain Rodriguez smiled, and somehow that simple expression seemed predatory in a way that made several delegates uncomfortable. General, with respect, your sensors aren't designed to detect our ships. We've been observing your situation for several weeks. The pattern of disappearances is familiar to us. Familiar? Dr. Moss leaned forward, his tentacles writhing with interest. You've encountered this phenomenon before. Not this exact phenomenon, but the hunting pattern, yes. My species has extensive experience with predators, both as prey and as hunters ourselves. What you're facing displays classic stalking behavior. Ambassador Thrace found himself intrigued despite the unusual circumstances. Captain Rodriguez, you speak of hunting and predators as if they are common concepts to your people. Most Federation species evolve beyond such primitive survival mechanisms. Rodriguez's expression grew serious. Ambassador, my people evolved on what we call a death world. For millions of years, we were not the dominant species on our planet. We survived by becoming better hunters than the things that hunted us. We learned to think like predators because it was the only way to stay alive. The concept was alien to most delegates, but something about the humans' confidence was reassuring. Here was a species that understood the threat they faced. What do you propose? Kelvin asked. Let us investigate these disappearances. Our ships are designed for stealth and survival. Our crews are trained to think like both predator and prey. If something is hunting your people, we'll find it. Commander Zixera's mandibles clicked skeptically. Captain, no disrespect intended, but the Federation's most advanced fleets have vanished without trace. What makes you think your ships would survive where ours have failed? Rodriguez's smile returned, and this time it definitely looked predatory. Commander, your ships are designed for exploration, trade, and conventional warfare. They're built to be seen, to inspire confidence, to project power. Our ships are built to hunt. There's a difference. The chamber buzzed with debate. Some delegates argued it was too dangerous to trust an unknown species with such a critical mission. Others pointed out that conventional approaches had failed completely. The disappearances were accelerating, and soon entire sectors might be cut off from Federation space. Dr. Moss raised a tentacle for attention. Captain Rodriguez, you mentioned that your species has experience with predators. Can you tell us more about your world? Earth is a planet where 99% of all species that ever lived went extinct. We survived because we learned to adapt to hunt in packs and to never give up once we started tracking prey. We learned that sometimes the only way to protect what you love is to become more dangerous than the thing threatening it. The words sent a chill through the chamber, but also sparked something that had been missing for months. Hope. Here was a species that understood survival in ways the Federation had forgotten. Kelvin looked around the chamber, reading the faces of his fellow delegates. Fear was giving way to desperate hope. They had tried everything else. Captain Rodriguez, the Federation accepts your offer of assistance. But I must ask, what do you want in return? Nothing for now, Rodriguez replied. If we succeed, perhaps we can discuss membership in your Federation. My people are ready to join the galactic community, but first, we need to make sure there's a community left to join. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Within hours, the Federation would learn that humanity's arrival would change everything they thought they knew about warfare, survival, and what it meant to be an apex predator in a galaxy full of prey. As delegates began filing out of the chamber, Kelvin remained at the podium, staring at the star charts that showed the growing red zones. For the first time in months, he felt something other than despair. These humans spoke of hunting and predators with casual familiarity. Perhaps what the Federation needed wasn't more explorers or diplomats. Perhaps they needed hunters. The enemy had been stalking the galaxy, picking off ships with methodical precision. But now they had attracted the attention of a species that had spent millions of years learning how to hunt the hunters. The mysterious threat in the Outer Rim was about to discover what it meant to become prey. Kelvin's communication device chimed with an incoming message from the human vessel. It was brief and to the point. Federation Council, this is Captain Rodriguez. My ships are already en route to the last known disappearance site. We'll contact you when we find your hunters. Rodriguez out. The speed of the human response impressed and worried Kelvin in equal measure. These humans moved with the efficiency of a species that had learned to make quick decisions in life-or-death situations. As he finally left the chamber, Kelvin wondered if the Federation was about to witness the collision between an ancient galactic predator and something that might be even more dangerous. The hunt was about to begin, and for the first time in months, the hunters might find themselves becoming the hunted. The hunt begins. Captain Sarah Chin stood on the bridge of the USC Persistence, watching the tactical display with the focused intensity of a predator studying tracks. The ship moved through space with an almost organic silence, its hull painted in adaptive camouflage that bent light around it like a living shadow. Around her, the bridge crew worked with the quiet efficiency of a hunting pack. Contact the Federation fleet, Sarah ordered. Let them know we're beginning our approach to the Kepler Nebula. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, her communications officer, nodded and activated the quantum relay. Within moments, Ambassador Kelvin Thrace's elongated features appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Sarah could see the nervous faces of other Federation leaders gathered in what appeared to be a military command center. Captain Chun, Kelvin said, his melodic voice betraying his anxiety, our long-range sensors show you're approaching the zone where our investigation fleets disappeared. Are you certain about this approach? Sarah smiled with the confidence of someone who had spent a lifetime learning to read the signs that others missed. Ambassador, we've been tracking the energy signatures your ships detected. What you interpreted as random appearances are actually hunting patterns. Someone is watching your ships, studying their movements, and striking when they're most vulnerable. Dr. Moss, the Aquarian science advisor, leaned into view. Captain, our most advanced sensors couldn't track these entities. How do you propose to find something we cannot even detect? Doctor, you've been looking for the wrong things, Sarah explained as she manipulated her own tactical display. Your sensors are designed to detect ships, energy signatures, and conventional technology. We're looking for behavior patterns, territory markers, and hunting signs. The Federation officials exchanged confused glances. Commander Zixera, the Vorlian military officer, spoke up. Captain Chen, could you elaborate on these hunting signs you mentioned? Sarah gestured to her tactical officer, a compact man named David Park, whose fingers moved across his console with practiced precision. Lieutenant Park, show them what we've found. The display shifted to show a three-dimensional map of local space with the Federation's shipping lanes highlighted in blue. Overlaying these routes were red markers indicating disappearance sites. But now, there were additional markings that the Federation had missed. Every disappearance site is positioned at what we call ambush points, David explained, locations where prey naturally slow down or change course, near asteroid fields, gravitational anomalies, or navigation hazards. Your ships were being herded into killing zones. Dr. Moss's tentacles writhed with excitement and concern. Remarkable. We analyzed these same data points, but never considered them from a predator-prey perspective. That's because your species evolved past need for such thinking, Sarah said. My people never had that luxury. On Earth, everything is either hunting or being hunted. We learned to recognize these patterns because our survival depended on it. Suddenly, the ship's AI announced in a calm voice, "Captain, we're detecting the anomalous energy signature. Duration, 37 seconds and counting." The bridge atmosphere instantly shifted to combat readiness. Sarah's crew moved with the smooth coordination of a pack that had hunted together for years. "All stop," Sarah commanded. "Go dark. Full stealth protocols." The Persistence seemed to disappear, its energy signature dropping to almost nothing. On the Federation channel, Kelvin watched in amazement as the human ship vanished from their sensors completely. "Captain Chun," Kelvin whispered, "our sensors show you've simply vanished." "We're still here, Ambassador," Sarah replied quietly. "We're just hiding. Now we wait and watch." What happened next would be recorded in Federation history as the first time anyone had observed the mysterious hunters in action. At the edge of sensor range, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. Massive shapes began to emerge from what appeared to be empty void, their forms angular and predatory. "Dear creators," breathed Commander Zixera, "how many are there?" David Park ran his analysis programs while tracking the emerging vessels. 15 confirmed contacts, possibly more. They're big, Ambassador. Each one is at least twice the size of a Federation dreadnought. The alien ships moved with purposeful intent toward the last known position of a missing Federation patrol. They spread out in a hunting formation, using their advanced stealth technology to remain nearly invisible until they were ready to strike. "They're looking for us," Sarah observed. They expected to find Federation ships here. Dr. Moss was frantically analyzing the readings his instruments could barely detect. "Captain, the energy signatures these ships are producing, they're unlike anything in our databases. The technology appears to be millions of years old, possibly predating most current galactic civilizations." "Ancient hunters," Sarah murmured, understanding flooding her features. "They've been doing this for a very long time." One of the alien ships suddenly turned in their direction, as if sensing something. Sarah's tactical officer immediately reported, "Captain, I think they've detected something. Not us specifically, but they know something's wrong." "Patience," Sarah said calmly. "Let them commit to their search pattern." For 20 minutes, the alien ships conducted a methodical sweep of the area. Their movements showed the discipline of experienced predators, checking every possible hiding spot with systematic thoroughness. But they were looking for Federation technology, not human stealth systems. "They're giving up," David reported, "beginning to withdraw." "Now, we follow them," Sarah ordered. "Plot an intercept course, but keep us hidden. We need to see where they go." The Persistence began to shadow the alien fleet as they departed the area. Sarah activated the long-range communication array. "Ambassador, are you recording this?" "Every moment, Captain," Kelvin replied, his voice filled with amazement. "We're finally seeing our hunters." The pursuit lasted for 6 hours, taking them deeper into unexplored space. The alien ships moved with the confidence of beings who owned the territory they traveled through. Finally, they approached a system with 3 dead planets orbiting a dying red giant star. "They're heading for the second planet," David reported. "Massive energy readings coming from the surface." Sarah studied the tactical display with growing understanding. "It's a nest, a base of operations where they return after hunting. Ambassador, we found their home." The Federation channel erupted in excited conversation, but Sarah held up a hand for silence. "We're not done yet. We need to learn more about these hunters before we engage them." Using the ship's advanced sensors, they began mapping the alien base. What they found was disturbing. The planet's surface was covered with artificial structures that had clearly been built over thousands of years. But more troubling were the massive storage facilities filled with debris from destroyed ships. Trophies, Sarah said grimly. They keep pieces of every ship they've destroyed, every species they've hunted. Dr. Moss's voice was barely a whisper. Captain, our analysis shows debris from dozens of different species. Some of these pieces are thousands of years old. This has been going on far longer than we realized. They're not just hunters, Sarah continued, her voice growing hard. They're collectors. They've been systematically hunting intelligent species across the galaxy for millennia. The implications hit the Federation Council like a physical blow. This wasn't a recent threat or a territorial dispute. They were facing an ancient enemy that had been perfecting the art of galactic predation for longer than most civilizations had existed. Captain Chun. General Karthek's voice was grim. What do you recommend? Sarah turned to face the screen, and the Federation officials saw something in her expression that made them understand why humans had survived on a death world. It was the look of a predator that had just found prey that had been hurting her pack. We're going to teach these ancient hunters what it feels like to be hunted, she said. They've been the apex predators in this galaxy for thousands of years. It's time they learned what happens when they threaten a species that evolved by hunting apex predators. The communications channel fell silent as the Federation officials processed the implications of that statement. They were about to witness something unprecedented in galactic history. The collision between an ancient predator species and a young race that had learned survival in the most dangerous classroom in the known galaxy. Ambassador, Sarah continued, I'm going to need you to evacuate all Federation ships from this sector. What we're about to do is going to get very dangerous very quickly. Captain, Kelvin asked carefully, exactly what are you planning to do? Sarah's smile was predatory and confident. We're going to do what humans do best, Ambassador. We're going to hunt. The Persistence began to move away from the alien planet, its crew already planning an assault that would introduce an ancient evil to a very modern interpretation of what it meant to be an apex predator. The galaxy was about to learn that while the mysterious hunters had been perfecting their techniques for thousands of years, humanity had been evolving survival strategies for millions of years on a world that showed no mercy to the weak. The hunt was about to begin, and for the first time in their long existence, the ancient predators were going to discover what it felt like to be prey. Apex predators 3 days after discovering the ancient hunters' nest world, Captain Sarah Chun stood before a holographic display showing the most audacious military plan in galactic history. Around her, the command crews of 12 human vessels worked with the focused intensity of predators preparing for the hunt of their lives. The plan was simple in concept but terrifying in execution. Humanity would take the fight directly to the enemy's home territory, using tactics that no galactic species had ever conceived because no one had ever needed to evolve such brutal efficiency. Fleet status report, Sarah commanded as she studied the tactical projections. Commander James Harrison of the UESC Endurance stepped forward. All ships report ready, Captain. Stealth systems are operating at maximum efficiency. The enemy still doesn't know we're here. Lieutenant David Park manipulated the display to show the alien planet's defensive positions. We've identified 17 major installations and approximately 300 individual ships on the surface. The energy readings suggest their technology is incredibly advanced, but their deployment patterns show they've never faced an organized assault. Sarah nodded grimly. That was exactly what she had expected. They're used to being the hunters, not the hunted. Their entire tactical doctrine is built around stalking isolated prey, not defending against coordinated attacks. The communication array activated, bringing Ambassador Kelvin Thrace and the Federation leadership onto the screen. The Zentari diplomat's silver features showed a mixture of hope and terror as he observed the human preparations. Captain Chun, Kelvin said carefully, our analysis confirms your assessment. The alien technology is incredibly advanced, possibly superior to anything in Federation space. Are you certain about engaging them directly? Sarah turned to face the screen, and the Federation officials saw something in her expression that reminded them why humans had described their world as a death world. It was the look of a species that had learned to face impossible odds and somehow find a way to win. Ambassador, let me tell you about persistence hunting, Sarah began. It's a technique my species developed millions of years ago. We couldn't outrun our prey, and we couldn't overpower it, but we could outlast it. We could track it for days, weeks if necessary, until it was exhausted and unable to fight back. Dr. Moss, the Aquarian scientist, leaned forward with interest. Captain, how does this apply to space warfare? Simple, Doctor. These hunters have been using the same tactics for thousands of years because they've always worked. They rely on stealth, surprise, and technological superiority. But they've never faced an enemy that hunts back. The display shifted to show the deployment of human forces around the alien planet. Instead of the traditional fleet formations that most species used, the human ships were positioned in a pattern that looked almost organic. We're not going to fight them ship to ship, Sarah explained. We're going to systematically destroy their ability to hunt, their shipyards, their communication networks, their supply depots. We're going to make them prey. Commander Zixera's mandibles clicked with nervous energy. Captain, even with your stealth technology, surely they will detect such a large-scale assault? Sarah's smile was predatory. They'll detect the assault, Commander, but they won't understand it until it's too late. The attack began at exactly 0800 hours, ship time. The human vessels moved like a pack of wolves descending on an unsuspecting target. But instead of a conventional assault, they implemented a strategy that no galactic species had ever witnessed. The first phase targeted the alien communication networks. Human ships materialized from stealth at communication relay stations positioned throughout the system, destroying them with pinpoint precision before vanishing again. Within minutes, the ancient hunters found themselves blind and unable to coordinate their defenses. Phase 1 complete. Commander Harrison reported, enemy communications are down. Phase 2, execute, Sarah commanded. The second phase was even more devastating. Human ships struck at the alien shipyards and manufacturing facilities with surgical precision. But they didn't just destroy the installations, they harvested them. Advanced human technology allowed them to strip useful materials from the destroyed facilities, turning the enemy's own resources against them. On the alien planet below, chaos erupted as the ancient hunters found themselves under assault from an enemy that fought unlike anything they had encountered in millennia. Their ships launched from the surface, but the humans had anticipated this response. Enemy fleet launching, David reported, 47 ships and counting. Let them come, Sarah said calmly. Execute Phase 3. What happened next would be studied by military tacticians for generations. As the alien ships rose to engage the human fleet, they found themselves flying into a carefully prepared trap. The humans had seeded the space around the planet with automated weapons platforms that activated as the alien ships passed through designated zones. But the real devastation came from the human ships themselves. They moved through the alien formation like ghosts, striking from impossible angles and vanishing before the enemy could respond. The aliens' advanced sensors couldn't track targets that moved with such unpredictable patterns. They're trying to establish formation, David observed as the alien ships attempted to organize their defenses. They think like prey, Sarah noted. They're trying to form defensive positions instead of hunting us individually. They don't understand pack tactics. The battle raged for 6 hours, but it wasn't really a battle in any conventional sense. It was a demonstration of what happened when an ancient predator species encountered something that had evolved beyond their understanding of warfare. The alien ships were individually superior to human vessels in firepower and defense, but they couldn't adapt to facing an enemy that refused to fight according to their rules. The humans struck from stealth, used the debris from destroyed ships as weapons, and coordinated their attacks with a precision that spoke of millions of years of pack hunting evolution. Captain, came a voice from the bridge speakers. It was weak and distorted, but clearly alien in origin. Please, respond, the bridge fell silent. It was the first time the ancient hunters had attempted communication with any species in recorded history. "Put it through," Sarah ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing a being that was clearly ancient and alien. Its form was elongated and predatory, with features that spoke of intelligence evolved for hunting. But now, those features showed something the creature had probably never experienced before: fear. "I am Seeker of the Silent Paths," the alien said, its voice carrying harmonics that made several bridge officers uncomfortable. "Your species, what are you?" Sarah stepped forward, studying the alien with the calm assessment of a predator evaluating another predator. "We are human. We come from a world called Earth, and we are here because you made a mistake." "What mistake?" the alien asked, confusion evident in its translated voice. "You hunted our friends," Sarah replied simply. "On our world, when something threatens the pack hunts back." The alien's features shifted in what might have been an attempt at understanding. "You are protecting the prey species?" "They're not prey," Sarah said firmly. "They're our allies, our friends, our pack, and you've been hunting them." The implications of this statement seemed to hit the alien like a physical blow. In its thousands of years of hunting, it had never encountered a species that formed protective relationships with what it considered prey animals. We did not know," the alien said, finally. "We hunt to survive. It is our nature." Sarah's expression grew stern. "Then your nature needs to change. The galaxy has evolved past the point where the strong simply devour the weak. The Federation represents cooperation, not predation." "But how do we survive without the hunt?" Dr. Moss stepped into view of the communication array. "By joining the galactic community. By contributing to something larger than yourself. By learning that cooperation can be more rewarding than domination." The alien was quiet for a long moment, processing concepts that challenged everything its species had believed for millennia. Finally, it spoke again. "What will you do with us?" Sarah looked around her bridge, reading the faces of her crew. These were humans who had grown up hearing stories of Earth's ancient predators, of the wolves and lions and sharks that had shaped human evolution. They understood the delicate balance between predator and prey better than any species in the galaxy. "That depends on you," Sarah said finally. "Your hunting days are over. Your technology for stalking and killing innocent travelers has been destroyed. But your knowledge, your experience with deep space survival, that could be valuable to the galactic community. You would accept us." Ambassador Kelvin stepped forward on the Federation channel. "The Galactic Federation has always welcomed species willing to embrace peace and cooperation. But the hunting must stop completely." The alien's head moved in what might have been a nod. "We accept these terms. But you must understand, we do not know how to exist without the hunt." Sarah smiled, and for the first time, it wasn't a predatory expression. "Then we'll teach you. My species learned to channel our hunting instincts into protection instead of predation. We hunt threats to peace instead of hunting the peaceful. There's still a place for predators in this galaxy, but as guardians, not as destroyers." The communication ended, and the human fleet began the process of establishing a monitoring station in the system. The ancient hunters would be given the opportunity to join galactic civilization, but under careful supervision until they learned to redirect their predatory nature. As the Persistence prepared to return to Federation space, Ambassador Kelvin appeared on the screen one final time. "Captain Chun, what you've accomplished here today, it will change the galaxy. You've not only eliminated an ancient threat, but you've shown us a new way to think about conflict resolution." Sarah nodded, looking out at the stars that no longer held the same terror for peaceful species. "Ambassador, my people have a saying, it takes a predator to catch a predator. The galaxy is safer now because the real hunters are protecting the peaceful instead of preying on them." The human fleet departed the ancient hunter system, leaving behind monitoring stations and the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The Federation had learned that sometimes the solution to an ancient problem required an ancient approach, refined by millions of years of evolution on a world that showed no mercy to the weak. Humanity had taken its place in the galactic community not as conquerors or diplomats, but as protectors. They had proven that the deadliest predators could also be the most effective guardians, and that sometimes the best way to ensure peace was to make sure that those who threatened it understood they were no longer the apex predators in the galaxy. The stars were safe again, protected by a species that had learned to hunt the hunters and defend the defenseless. The age of the ancient predators was over, and the age of the guardian predators had begun.